is the Howe annual board meeting and a little award ceremony for our honoree Betty. So first I want to thank Seamens Bank for having the event here. Also Gary and Michael from East End Market. Joy McNulty. And thank you for all coming. I also want to do a big shout out to all our volunteers. And I have a few names who are here, and if I miss anybody, I apologize. Chris, might pronounce this incorrectly, Aslin, Carla Mancino, Libby Calhoun, Cheryl Donovan, Diana Hardy, Rosemary Hillard, Marie Pittman, Hannah Strand. So these are our volunteers that help our clients take them to appointments, Hyannis, Boston, or wherever. And we have a little bit of we have a little gift of appreciation for you. So Donna has the bag with all your T-shirts, and if it's not the right size, she can exchange it. The next thing, we have to have a board meeting. A little board meeting for this. And it's going to be short, really. It's going to be very short. So I would like all the board members to come up here.
There you are.
Here we are.
Here we are. Okay, so we're just going to introduce ourselves, starting with Ann and going around.
Ann.
That's McGuire.
Betty
Vilari.
Susan Grace. Joy McNulty. Amanda Morris.
Lori Needs. Pam Trolsball.
Nancy DeLuca.
Barbara Knapp. Sue Roderick.
And we have Elizabeth, our ED, and Donna, our client service advocate. Yay! So I have to say, this is one of the best boards I've ever been on, and everyone is passionate about how and helping our clients. So with that, we have minutes that we have to approve. Minutes for our April 20th meeting.
Somebody
Okay, I think we got that done.
All those in favor?
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
We're a very cooperative board.
Yes. Now, the next business is Joy McNulty is going to talk about the financials.
No, I'm not. She ran away.
She's coming. She's getting her paperwork. Joy, why don't you come over?
You got the financial statements.
So 100 years ago, right, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Leslie McGrath and Betty and a whole bunch of women got together to start this organization. And they operated out of a little tiny closet up on the top of, where was it?
By Governor Bradford.
Governor Bradford. And there wasn't enough room in there to turn around. Once you put a copier and a printer in there, there was no room for anybody else. But at any rate, we did it. We've stayed together. We've worked together. We've been like crazy people. And we now have our own building, as you must know that. And we have money in the bank. Stevie is our bookkeeper and our main financial director. And he has gotten us together so that we could really be professional. So without, I think there's probably reports around if anybody needs to see them, but I'm not gonna go on and on about this. I'm just really proud of Hal. Really, really proud of Hal.
So are we.
Yes. Yeah.
There you go. Anything else you want to say?
No, thank you.
Okay, so we just have one other business, and I want to introduce someone who supported Hal for the last 24 years. Jay Critchley with the Swim for Life. And for Jay, what do you like to say? What would you like to say?
Hello.
I'm timing you, Jay.
She gave me only 5 minutes. I know we're here to celebrate Betty, and Betty has been around as long as the Swim for Life has been around, and how. And you know, when the swim first started 30 years ago, it was the first couple of years it was for AIDS Support Group, PWA Coalition. But soon after, it became very evident to everyone that a lot of the women in town and the whole community was behind people with AIDS. And so, you know, subsequently, HOW has become, along with the AIDS Support Group, the primary beneficiaries of the Swim for Life for the last 25 years. And I think just as the tides come in and out of the harbor and the rhythm of Provincetown permeates this community, this is the time to come together. This is the time as a community. This is a time for us to share our story, because we have an American story here of inclusion. And this is the time to share it with the world, especially when Provincetown 400 is coming up in 2 years. So let's all just continue the energy that's here today, right through the summer, to the Swim for Life on September 9th and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. So now I'm going to ask Elizabeth to come up and say a few words.
Okay, thank you. 5 minutes. I know, I gotta be fast.
She's quick.
Representative Peak has another engagement, and so we're gonna move this right along. I only have 3 things to do. 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna thank people. I'm gonna give you an update on our clients, and then I'm gonna give you a few hints on how you can help us. So we're here to honor Betty today, but I also want to recognize the many, many people that support HOW. It's businesses and individuals that respond to our annual appeals. There are amazing events that we have, the drag brunch. We had something new this year called the Moving Violations Motorcycle Club that raised over $9,000 for us with a ride. We have casino nights, we have the McGuire, Gordon, Crow, Glen garden party, which we will have again this year on August 5th. We have our annual lobster pot dinner. Where did Joey go? Thank you very much. And many, many other things. We have grants from Seamens Bank, from Cape Cod 5 over there. I see my friend David Willard is here. Belzekian Foundation, Swim for Life, and the 4 towns where we operate all make a contribution to HOW. I could go on and on with many, many, many more, but you can see in our annual report, standing over there, there it is, our supporters. I want to thank the board and all of our volunteers who really make this all happen, and it has for the last 24, and next year, I think it's been mentioned, we will celebrate our 25th anniversary. Wow. So we're going to start right after this meeting planning for our 25th anniversary. So just a quick update on our services. I couldn't do this without, again, acknowledging Donna Zecker, who is the front line with all of our clients. In 2016, HOW, and again, 95% Donna has handled nearly 2,500 visits or phone calls from the clients and from the general public. Since we started in 1993, where we were official, we have served nearly 1,000 people have come through our doors. If you look over on that little chart over there, that little poster board, you'll see that last year 230 women, including 21 new clients, came to HOW. 63 individuals, received a total of 271 rides. Those are rides to medical appointments, those are rides to the grocery store, lots of places that people need to go that need our help. 121 women received a total of 1,139 stipends for last year. And the last thing I'll mention there is 260 visits to our pantry from our clients. I'd like to recognize somebody who's not here. A long-time volunteer, hardworking volunteer, and former Howe board member, Diana Fabri. You could always depend on Diana for a ride no matter where it was, locally or far away. Some of you may know she was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer in 2015, I don't think she ever realized that she could take advantage of the house services that she was volunteering for, but she did. That day came. Howe was with her there, helping to lighten her troubles with our assistance. We are grateful for her volunteer service, and she will be missed.
Her service is tomorrow morning.
Yes, her service is tomorrow morning. So I want to look forward here for a minute. Howe is doing great things, but we think there's more that can be done. We've been testing out some new services with our clients. We've had conversations about more social connections for our clients. I heard recently that this social interaction, the social connection, feeds the body and the brain. So we'll be working with our clients to create some kind of companion type interaction program. How Cooks is also an idea that's, if you don't mind, percolating, where we can gather people together around a meal. So you'll be hearing more about that. We just announced in this coming month's newsletter to our clients that we have a new service to provide small home repairs thanks to a handy volunteer. We call it Howe's Handy Woman. We're also building new partnerships with organizations like We Can, like Nauset Neighbors, and starting in July, we actually are going to Eastham. We'll have office space in the new Cape Cod Children's Center in Eastham, one day a month. So, let me get to the third part of this. How can you help? You can spread the word to anybody you know, your friends, neighbors, church members, Bridge Club, that Howe is here to provide these services to women who have chronic health problems or a life-threatening or disabling disease. You know people out there in the community, they should know about us so we can continue to serve and broaden our services. You can volunteer. We need more volunteers. I can't say that enough. Either to do the driving, to help in the office, with events and programs, and to maybe help with the new programs we're starting. So the last thing I would ask for you to do is tell us what you think the needs are that you see in the community. I'm always willing to listen and to hear about that. So let me wrap up with just one more short story. I remember when I was in the office by myself, and a friend brought a woman in December. She has fibromyalgia as well as depression and anxiety. She works outdoors, and her condition got so bad she had to stop working. I listened to her and I explained how can help her, some with her financial needs, and connect her with other benefits. She said after our visit, before she left, "Thank you. I can finally surrender and accept not being so independent. I feel better already." So, Howe can't always fix everything. We're not going to be curing everything, but we can be there to help people who are on those journeys, make that a little lighter for them. So, I am going to wrap up and hand it back to Mary Ann because we have a main event here.
Yes. And we're on schedules. This is great. So Betty,
Yes, dear.
why don't you come over here?
So,
So,
up on the steps.
yeah, why don't you come up on this side?
Stand, Mary, and you're gonna pay for it.
So first I want to introduce, you know, Sarah Peak, our state representative.
Yeah,
She has-
we met once or twice. I should say to Betty, for years we've had this joke going. I don't know how it developed, but now it's like every time we see each other, Betty, have you met my wife, Lynn? Right. It's like just what we did every time through the cadence of it. Well, what an honor to be here today, and what an honor to be here today to honor you for all you've done. But I guess before I get into the serious part with this great big gift card that I have brought, I also want to compliment you not only for the time that you spent with Hal, but somehow you got the Cape Cod Times to publish a really great photo of you. I have wrong information, but a good photo. Yeah, well, it doesn't matter. People just look at the pictures anyway. So I've been working on that for the last 15 years, and you hit a home run out of the box. But seriously, the information that they did get right, I think, speaks volumes of your life of giving to this community, the scores of people that you have helped. I'm sure many people that we don't, in this room, that we don't even know of, that you gave a helping hand up to, from your days at the gym, to the founding of this organization, what you do with the soup kitchen, running the swap shop there. I could go on, and I think most importantly, just by being Betty Vilari and being there for us. An official citation from the Massachusetts House of Representatives honoring Betty for being a founding member, I guess I should have said founding mother, and a 24-year volunteer for helping our women in Provincetown, Massachusetts. So the entire membership, but truly, especially me, extends its very best wishes and expresses all the hope for future good fortune and continued success. Given this 20th day of June, it's signed by the Speaker, Bob DeLeo, and by me, your state rep. And it's due to a lot of volunteer effort on your part that I get to sign this citation today. And I will always and Senator Sear, unfortunately, has to be in Boston today, so he is unable to be here. We've got budget negotiations going on. We've got a little thing called a marijuana legislation coming up today and tomorrow in the House and the Senate. There's a certain guy over here with a wild haircut who's pretty happy about that. No surprise to anybody in this room. But so he asked me to be his messenger, and I can think of nothing that I would rather do other than to be standing here next to Julian, who, by the way, is just such a great partner in our state legislature for me. And when word came of this event, he was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm not going to be able to be there. But with that, he has sent along a citation from the state Senate. Be it known to all that the Massachusetts Senate hereby extends its congratulations to Betty Vilari in recognition of your commitment to helping the needs of women on the Outer Cape and 24 years of dedicated service at Howe. And the Senate also extends its best wishes for continued success, and it's signed by the President of the Senate, the Clerk of the Senate, by our pal and State Senator Julian Sear, and given June 20th. Nice. Congratulations. Thank you, darling. You're welcome.
So we have two other speakers, and first I'm going to introduce Sue Roderick, who's going to say a few words.
Thank you. Isn't she great? Our new chairman of the House? Yes. Betty. Look at all of these people here. Can you imagine? They're here to honor you and all the things that you have done in your life and in the future. I think the article of the banner was fabulous in the sense that it hit a lot of things that Betty has done, and it showed Provincetown, the community, what she has done. And I think it's a marvelous thing, and especially with how. You know, those women sitting around a kitchen table because one of their friends had breast cancer. They took them, these friends took them to chemotherapy, the medical appointments, Stop and Shop, and an old A&P at that point, and said, hey, what about the community? What if they don't have friends or people that can do this? That's the basis of HOW. That was a grassroots organization, and it has developed since 1992. Catch me right?
Yep.
Yeah. And into now where we are doing community members as well. So it has been a very long development, and HOW is surviving, and we are in the 21st century. That was my goal when I was chair for many years, to make it sustainable and survive in the 21st century, and it has, and it's based on you. I'm also believe in mind, body, and soul. Okay, there's a lot of love and a lot of support in this group and in this group of people. And Betty is heading into a next chapter of her life. She has given so much to the community. It's time for us to give to her. So I would just say that's the time, and we're just going to do all we can do and possibly do to support her as she continues at the Methodist Thrift Shop, continues at the Seamens, and continues at I only had 5 minutes.
Okay, so next, this is your life, right?
Right.
So next, I have Reverend Jim Cox.
This could be fun. Yes, sir.
I was told I only had 2 minutes.
That's discrimination.
We'll talk about that later. I just want to say it's such an honor to be able to stand here and to talk about such a wonderful person. And one of the first adjectives I always come up with is formidable. That she is formidable. You always know what she's thinking. She does never mince words.
That's right.
And I have to tell you, when I first met her, I was scared to death. But yet over time, and to work with her, we have created a friendship, and in many ways, love and care for one another in many, many ways, and I celebrate that. It was interesting, a year or so ago, and I probably will end with this story, is that we were at breakfast, because one of the things we do on Sunday morning, we started with 4 of us, Nicholas, Dante, myself, and
Me and the boys.
yep. And one day Dante and I were having breakfast, and we were talking about different things around health issues and, you know, whether you'd really go to the extent to do it. And she looked at both of us and goes, and why not? Well, of course you would. You fight. That's what you do. And I think one of the things I celebrate about her is that I always know when she's feeling good, because she's barking at me, and she's barking the orders out at the thrift shop. And when the days when she's not barking so much, I get concerned. But best of all, though, I can say that Betty is my friend. Betty has challenged me. She has made my life better. And I am so glad that she is a part of this community, especially when you find out that she came here just for a summer job and never left. But also her faith has really been instrumental in always seeing the glass half full, always seeing the good side, and never really allowing the other to pull her down, but rather to keep moving forward, that one foot in front of the other, but also that sense of reliance on that which is greater than her. Mm-hmm. And so I celebrate her life, and I close with this thought. A friend of ours called from Los Angeles on last week and called a member of the church and goes, "Did Betty Vilari die?" And someone said, "I don't think so, but let me check. So they found out, no, she hadn't. And the interesting thing is that for this woman, she was saying, when do you read in the newspaper an article about someone in their life and doing wonderful things if they haven't passed away. So I want to say it is wonderful that we celebrate today someone while she's alive.
Yeah. So when we decided that, and it was a quick decision that we were giving you this award, Betty Vilari Community.
Quick in sense that we knew it was the right decision.
Yeah, I was getting there. Thank you.
Good. The board's getting much better.
Yeah, aren't we? So one of the things I was thinking about, what am I going to say about Betty today? And I remember 2 years ago I read this quote that I want to read because this is you. To me, this is you. So, at the end of the day, it's not about what you have or even what you have accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
It's about who you have lifted up, who you have made better. It's about what you've given back. And that's you, Betty.
Thank you.
You had this little award for Betty.
I can hardly wait.
I'm not going to wear the white gloves.
Like that.
But it's quite heavy, and this is the Betty Vilari Community Award.
That's fabulous. That's wonderful. Well, that's our motto, have a heart. You know? Thank you.
Yeah, would you?
Do you want to say anything?
You want to say something?
Do I want to say something? Yeah.
Sure she does.
No, I don't want to say anything, but I will.
Okay.
No. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for being here, but most of all, I have to thank my parents. Because without my mother and her determination, I would not be here today, and I know that. And they never once tried to stop me, to keep me from doing anything. My mother took me week after week after week to the hospital to find out what was wrong with me. And they told her we don't know. She's going to be a cripple the rest of her life, put her in an institution, you get 2 more children, and she'll be a burden to you for the rest of your life. Well, my mother was like, oh, no. And like you couldn't mention the Red Cross to her because they wouldn't help her. And so we lived in Dorchester then, and we lived on a dead-end street. And my crib used to be in front of the window. And because I was in a cast like from here down and someone dropped a quarter in my cast, I had George Washington on my hip. I used to pull myself up in the windowsill so that I could watch the kids play. Well, I pulled myself so hard one day I went right through the window and landed on the floor. And my poor mother's walking down the street saying, "What's going on?" I said to my sister, "You're in big trouble." And then when I was 3, we moved to Arlington. And somehow my mother got me to Newton Wellesley Hospital where a doctor had come over from England who had just invented what they basically use now for little kids with the little shoes and the bars. But it was 2 2x4s basically is what it was. And they strapped my legs to them. And they just notched them until I could do this perfect split, left them like that for 6 months, and then dropped them back down, all right? And whatever it did do, but now it's the way you carry the baby in the womb. So both knees face the same direction, so your hip doesn't form. So when you're born, they flip you over. If the creases in your butt don't line up, it means you got dysplasia. They put you in that 6 months. My nephew was born with the same thing. He was fine by the time he was 6 months old because your bones are soft enough to form the socket. I was in the hospital for 1 year, and that's when kids couldn't go in hospitals. I didn't see my sisters for a year. My mother came every day on the streetcar to visit me for 1 solid year. And then when I finally got out of the hospital, I used to be, every picture you see me, the kids, this little blob sitting on the lawn, because they had to carry me everywhere. Yeah. And I kept learning how to walk by pushing a chair. And I didn't start school till the second half of 2nd grade. I used to have to, you want to talk about humility, I used to have to be wheeled to school in a baby carriage, carried into school on a chair, every fire drill carried outside. All the kids, they thought I had polio. It was like, and So by the time I was 8 years old, I could walk. So once I could move around, then I did whatever I could possibly do. I played sports. I played baseball with the boys. I would be in so much pain by the end of it that I could barely walk home. But it just made me so determined to be what, as much like other kids, because I never knew what it was like to do roller skate. I didn't know what it was like to ride a bike. I didn't know all those things that you do as a kid. So it taught me never to take one thing for granted, you know? And a lot of that, and my parents always said, just do what you can do, you know? The only thing my mother would let me do was ride a bike because she was afraid I'd get hit or fall and hurt my hip. And when I was 23 years old, I finally had it done. And that's when I was in the hospital for 2 months. I was in traction for 2 months. I was on a cane, crutches for a year and a cane for 6 years. Wow. But I had that for 20 years. But I couldn't do this with my life. I put my shoes and socks on for the first time in my life when I was 48, like a normal person. And I've had several revisions, several total hips, and it was just like you just keep going, you know? I mean, that's always my way. I try to keep my life as much the same as it was before I ever got sick. You know, and then I happened to come down with cancer and stuff but you know what? You gotta have hope. Every day they're doing research. There's new things coming out. One of my 3 husbands down there, 2 of them have been, positive for 30 years. They're still here, you know? I have a lot of husbands. But I have great boyfriends, but I do women friends. But the other thing was this community and the love from this community and the support from this community. The day that we sat on the lobster pot deck and talked about this with Leslie, Catherine Lavelli, Dottie Mulcahy, I mean, it was just a big eye. I had just spent the past year driving myself to Boston every day and stayed there for 8 hours and had all these bizarre tests because I couldn't lift my arms up over my head, but they didn't know what was wrong with me. They thought I had a brain tumor, Lou Gehrig's disease, I might have thrown a blood clot. And so after 8 months, my doctor said to me, why don't we'll do a mammogram and we'll see where it goes from there. And the woman that read the orders read it wrong. She read bilateral view and she thought she meant both breasts. And she only wanted one done, and it was in the breast that wasn't supposed to be done. So that's, and at that time, my mother was dying. So I had that taken care of, and then I went up there and took care of her because it was very important to me to be with her at the end of her life because she was so there for me in the beginning. And, excuse me, I have to get water. But, I mean, the technology has changed so much today. You know, you're in and out of the hospital now in 3 days if you're getting your hip done. You know, I mean, years. I mean, it was like, I wonder at it all the time. I really do. But living in this community was like, wow. And sitting down with those women, I said, you know what? We can make a difference here. We can make a difference in other women's lives. You know, the first auction we had, Donald Edwards came to that auction. He was one of the only men that came. He gave us free rent for 20 years. You know, 20 years. Yeah. We've been very fortunate. We've had some ups and downs and bumps, believe me. But, and then Nancy Correa, had her law office on Conwell Street, and she decided she was going to retire, and she offered it to us and held the mortgage. And it was like a gift from heaven. It was first floor access. It was a lot of rooms, and look what we've got today. When I tell you a hole in the wall, I mean, Irene and Terry and one person, that was it. You couldn't fit anybody else. And it was on the second floor, So I'm very proud of the fact of, this is one of the hardest working boards I've ever been involved with. But the women in the beginning, the visions that we had, we didn't know it was going to come to this. I can remember having meetings when Leslie was And because Leslie's got a hearing problem, and Leslie, we'd vote on stuff and everything. We'd go home and Leslie would go, I didn't vote on that. I said, yeah, I said, yeah, you did. Oh, that's not the way I heard it. I said, I know. And it's like, but it was just, but you know what? We just kept plugging along and plugging along and plugging along. And there was a lot of wonderful women back then that were involved. Deb Mangelis, the other Deb, massage therapist. So it was just fabulous. And from there, it's just grown into something that now we're Surbiton as far as Eastham, as far as I know, right? So to me, that's like one of the most wonderful things. And the words I can't have never been in my vocabulary. I do not believe in that. I don't know if any of you remember Tracy Travis. She was in a head-on collision on Route 6, and she quadriplegic?
Yep.
Right? She came to the gym when we had the gym, and she came up in the elevator, and she said to me, I want to ride the bike, I want to do something. And I said, okay, come on, we'll do it. So she said, well, I can't turn the pedals. I said, no, you can't do it with your feet, but you can do it with your mind. Her Christmas present to me that year was she walked up the flight of stairs, a second floor, and came to the gym. And those are the things. And the gym, we made it specifically to be non-intimidating to people. You didn't have to have the fashion wear or the perfect body. No one, it was open to everybody to feel comfortable. And I'm very proud of that, and my partner David Nicolai, who helped with that. I mean, we had a tough battle there for a while, but it was well worth it. And most of my clients were people with handicaps or illnesses. And fortunately today, that church is like one of the places in this town, if it closed down, there would be a hole so big because it offers so many things to this community. Yeah. And doesn't charge them rent, And I have to say, I'm really touched that a person that I was involved with, the Skip, way back when I was the chair of that board, who was an alternative member of us, Chris Austin, came today. She is the most wonderful, wonderful person you could ever meet. And Maggie Flanagan's here from Homeless Prevention Council. Jay's here from the Compact. We got anybody else from any other nonprofit? And this is how the Lower Cape works. We help each other, If you come into the first, if you don't have something, you need something, you just ask us, we'll give it to you. You don't have to pay for it. And we have the food pantry, we have that, and then we can send people to helping out women that need services and stuff. So I'm truly grateful for my parents, this community, and everybody. And I love you all.
Good.
The general
over here. So my job is to wrap this up. There's nothing I can follow after Betty, but there is more food. I want you to know that this is the award she received is the Betty Vilari Community Service Award. But it will be given again to a deserving person that will mirror the work that Betty has done. So, want to do a couple other things. We have some events coming up. Go to our website, check them out.
Especially the one at Town Hall, July 21st, is a benefit for helping out women.
22nd.
22nd. And
6 o'clock.
It's also a celebration of Anne McGuire's birthday, but also 40 years of Somewhere Else, the bar Somewhere Else, a women's bar in Boston. There's people coming from all over the country, so it's going to be a great event. Try and come.
We've got the Summer Garden Party on August 5th. We've got the Drag Brunch August, I think it's the 18th or 19th. I don't have a date confirmed, but it'll be on the website. We have the Swim for Life on September 9th. And any golfers in the group, we're having our third golf event at Chequesset on October 9th. That's Columbus Day. So go enjoy the rest of the party. And thank you all very much for coming. Thank you.